what is it? -4. So we want, so 1A is -4. What's 3 times that amount? -12. This is the 1A, 3A method of graphing. We all know that we have 0, 0. We've got a dot. Go. You have about 20 seconds to graph the other 4 points. 1 to the right. 1 to the right. You're going down 4. But if you'll notice, those blocks are each word 4. So 1 to the right, 1 down, dot. Got that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the method of graphing that we talked about. The difference between the drops and the points are from 1 to the next is 1A, from 1 to the next down there is 3A, then it goes 5A, then 7A, then 9A. It's the pattern that every parabola follows. So put your first dot at 0, 0, and then 1 to the right, 4 down, which is just 1 block. What do you got? Okay, so graph.
You go right here 4. That's point 4. Okay. And then you go down. Yeah.
Doing the 3-1 notes. Oh. Did we talk yesterday about it?
Yeah.
Okay. During 4th period?
Yeah.
Okay. Tonight, spell your first name. Down there. Well, sometimes I don't do a very good job spelling, so I want to make sure that I do. Okay, so what's the question? So from that dot right there, I'm going to go forward 1 more, and then down 12, which is 3 blocks. Over 1, down 4. Over 1, down 12. Okay. Well, what this is showing us, every parabola follows a particular pattern. The drop between each of these dots is 1 of the A's, then 3 of the A's, then 5 of the A's, then 7 of the A's, then 9 of the A's. That pattern happens every time for a parabola. So I literally can go over 1 and down 1A, over 1 and down 3A, over 1 down 5A, and they just duplicate whatever I need to on the other side. Retakes? Well, I'm going to go ahead and put them in the computer. If you want to go over them, you can do that at a different time. They're fall class. So if you want to look at it after you finish. No. She just asked
I was like, that's literally like.
Yeah, I was looking for some reason. Is mine down?
No. I mean, 5/6 of it is done. I just have 1 page that I'm finishing.
I'm really curious.
I know, and by the end of this day, I'll have it in the computer for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yellow.
All right, so we talked about this. We've talked about this a bunch. If you go over 1 to the right, how far down do you drop? How far down do you drop? Some of you aren't listening.
What?
You drop down 1 block, and 1 block in this case is how many units? That's a drop of 4. But each block is worth 4 in the vertical, so I didn't have to drop down more than 1 block. So when I go 1 more to the right, how far am I dropping? I'm dropping 12 units, but that is only 3 of those blocks because each one of those is worth 4. So over 1 down A, over 1 down 3A. because it's a negative, I knew I had to go down. And then we can copy these to the other side. And draw our picture. Okay, that's the stuff that, whoa, this, I'm getting out of hand here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, I'm going to ask you several questions about this. One of those questions is going to be, what is the vertex? Now, the vertex is a point, a coordinate in the universe where it's changing direction. So, for instance, this is going up, 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 up. Why isn't it drawing? Oh, because it was drawing green and not orange, like I said. Up, 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 and then it changes direction and then starts to come back down. So, the location where it's changing direction, what is that? In this case, it is 0, 0. The next question I'm going to ask you is the axis of symmetry. Oops, I don't need that line. Axis of symmetry, which I am going to, from this point forward, abbreviate capital AOS. Hopefully that makes sense. Axis of symmetry. What is the vertical line that cuts this thing in half? Now, 3 classes in a row have said 0. Now, that's not the equation of a line. That's a number. Now, y equals 0 is a horizontal line. In fact, we have nicknamed y equals 0. We've got a nickname for that one. We call that one the x-axis. But, you know, when it actually, you know, when it's at the doctor's office and it has to sign the medical forms, it actually signs y equals 0 because that's its official name. It's kind of like me, you know. Part of my name is Junior, and that's what I go by in everyday life. That's what's on my ID badge, but that's only part of my name. I don't go by my official name because I'm not a big fan of my official name. So, but I have to sign that on my tax documents and my medical forms, anything that's official, life insurance policies, those kind of things. No, it's not Harold. Okay, oh, I had an uncle named Harold, but heroin? No, I have never been. Who calls a kid heroin?
I thought he said heroin. I would.
Said heroin.
Yeah, what's your middle name?
Also,
Leslie.
something I'm not a fan of. So, you know, I bet you'll figure it out.
Is it Leslie? You would just, no offense. Seem like the
I seem like a Leslie? Okay.
middle name, not first.
I'm sure you'll figure it out one of these days.
I'm gonna look to start
It's funny, it's now Miss Fry. So these kids don't know what a phone book is.
Yes, I do.
You do?
Why did the guy
Seriously, I say things about a phone book and they're like, "What's a phone book?" I'm serious. I've had that so many times. I didn't think you knew what a phone book was. Okay, so they're like, man, I bet you if you look it up with the phone book, there's like thousands of Staleys. I'm like, really? In this county, there are 3? Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. There are only 2 now. My uncle passed away recently. So there's only 2 of us. And we have the same name. Right? Because he's senior and I'm junior. Oh, my. Anyway, you know, so maybe you'll be able to figure it out. I don't know.
What does your middle name start with?
Okay, so how do I actually write the axis of symmetry equation? X equals 0. That's exactly right. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. I got 2 more questions for each one of these. Do you think we are dealing with a minimum or a maximum? Now, in order to answer that question, you need to understand something. I'm talking about y values. I could not possibly be talking about x values in this case at all. Why in the world can I not be talking about x values at all in this case? Because what's the domain of this function? All real numbers, from negative infinity to positive infinity. There's no way I could be talking about x values. So the question of min or max is a y value question. Do you see a highest or lowest y value on this graph? A highest. Okay? Now, that's interesting. I am glad you said that. I've had a lot of people saying lowest for this graph, and then they want to try to tell me that negative infinity is a number. Okay, that isn't a number. So I'm glad you guys didn't say that. That's good. All right. So it is a maximum in this case. Now, I'm also going to ask you what that number is, and I'm going to ask you at what x value it occurs. I hope you're taking good notes today on this stuff to really understand it. So what is the highest y value on the entire graph? 0. Now, we got that information right from here. We literally transferred that from the vertex to that answer blank down there. It was a maximum of 0. Now, the next part of the question says, at what x value? In other words, what x value causes that y value to be that way? What x value causes that y value to be that way? In this case, it is 0, and we got that information from the other part of the vertex. So the vertex actually answers both of those questions. Now, some people get confused until we get to further examples where those numbers are different. Then maybe it'll make more sense if you're confused right now. Now, I'm also going to be asking you on this graph another question, but this one is about two words that are new to you, or they're not really new words to you, but in this context they are. Increasing and decreasing. Increasing and decreasing. Now, we are going to be splitting the domain. And hopefully I don't run out of room. Kind of did, but oh well. Splitting the domain. Please remind me whether domain are x's or y's. Domain, are they x's or y's?
X.
They are x values, thank you very much. We're going to be chopping this thing up into pieces. Now, increasing and decreasing are words that describe the y values. You have to move through the graph from left to right. Everything is from left to right on this graph. Keep that in mind. And I want you to think of this like you're on a roller coaster. So as you move through the graph from left to right, what part of the graph is going up and what part of the graph is going down? Okay? But you all told me that the domain were x's. Let's see if you stick with that logic. Because so far, I mean, it's happened several times today, so I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, so if everything has to move through the graph from left to right and you're on a roller coaster, what's happening on this part right here? You're going up the hill, right? So, for those of you that are describing this, what is way over here on the left side of the graph? Isn't that negative infinity? And so from negative infinity all the way to 0, we are increasing. Negative infinity all the way to 0, we are increasing. Yes?
You said negative.
No, I didn't say it was a number. Okay, so when we ask the max or min question, you can't give me that as a number. Okay? But we can list it as part of an interval. I get what you're getting at there, so I see why that's a little bit confusing. Now, what's going on from 0 this way? It's decreasing, right? You're on the down part. Now, right at the top of the hill, we are not increasing, we are not decreasing, but as soon as we go over that hill, we are now decreasing. So, what would I say here? 0, comma what? Infinity? Okay, well, you guess what? You're the first class out of 3 that said that correctly.
Yeah.
All right, so nice job, nice job. Okay. The most common answer to that was negative infinity. And you know what I know when they say negative infinity right here? They were here, And then instead of going that way and thinking about x's, suddenly their brain switched and they went y's because they see the graph going down and they think I should put negative infinity. When you're writing intervals like that, the small value is on the left and the large value is on the right, always. Small value left, large value right. So, 0 to infinity is the decreasing interval. I'm glad you did that correctly. Very proud of you for that. Okay, because you did. You stayed with the idea of splitting the domain. Okay, so we're going to keep practicing on this. What's the a value here on question 2? 1/2. Okay, so my a value is 1/2. Some of you I know don't like fractions, so we'll change it to a decimal, 0.5. How about 3 of those? What's 3 times 0.5? 1.5. Okay, I know some of you will like that as a decimal. Now, before you draw anything, first of all, we do know that the vertex is at the origin. We can all do that. Is this a friendly scale to us or not? Mr. Rose says it's not a friendly scale. I'd have to agree with you, sir. That is not a friendly scale. This is a horrible scale. So, in order to fix this, folks, instead of being a 4, we'll make that a 1. Which would change that 8 to a 2 and change this 12 to a 3. Maybe that'll be a little bit nicer for us if we change the scale to something that makes more sense to us and isn't making our lives miserable. Okay, graph it. Take a few seconds and get that graph. 1 to the right and 0.5 units up. 1 to the right again and 1.5 units up. And then copied your points to the other side. Does any of that not make sense? Because we're going to ask more questions, but I want to make sure that that's okay. Yep. Now you can do the 5A. I was just trying to save time. So if you want to do the 5A, that is completely fine. We do have the room on this. You know, a lot of times we don't have the room. We run out of room for 5A. But we would on this scale. So we definitely could do that. Yes?
Why is it at 2?
Why does it stop at 2?
Oh, because it went up over there.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask the same 4 questions, and I'm going to have groups of you decide and make a decision, and I'll come back to your group, to make the same decision here in a second, or to answer the same or similar questions here. So we got vertex, we got max or min, blank at x equals blank. We've got the axis of symmetry, and we have the whole increasing, decreasing. Okay, let's see here.
Ms. Piper, your group is going to decide on the vertex. Okay. Ms. Yuki, your group is going to decide about the max or min and fill in that stuff. You two are going to decide about the axis of symmetry. And you better do axis of symmetry too. Okay. You guys right here are going to decide about increasing and decreasing intervals. You also over here need to decide on the increasing and decreasing. If you want to cross the ocean, see if people agree with you, you can do that too. Okay. But increasing, decreasing. Alright. You got it. Yes. Yes. It's always going to be, so if you know the vertex, you have to get one of those two. Not going to be always 0, 0.
So it is hard to mess this one up. Okay, Miss Piper, what's my vertex? Your group decided 0, 0. You are correct. Okay.
over here, Miss Yuki on my right, do we have a max or a min? We do have a minimum. What is that minimum y value? It is 0. And at what x value does it occur? It does occur at an x value of 0. Remember, you're just taking that y value there and that x value there for those of you trying to remember that. Axis of symmetry, people. What do we got? Axis of symmetry. Got to quote me. I got to vote for x equals 0 done. Did you guys come over here and check with these people? No. That's too much trouble. I can't work over there, Mr. Staley. Mm-hmm.
We got the same thing.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Copy off their answers. Seriously. Okay. X equals 0. Good job. Next, increasing, decreasing. Let's go with increasing first. What part is increasing? What did you guys say? 0 to infinity. You are correct. 0 to infinity. Starting at 0 and going to positive infinity to the right, you will be going up, up, up. How about that decreasing side? Negative infinity to 0. You are right. Negative infinity over here, all the way to 0, and stopping there for your decreasing. So those are the main questions I'm going to be asking you about this parabola. Anybody need any more time copying that down, or do you have it? Okay. Let's move on to question 3. What's the minus me telling you? Down 4. Is that choice A? I believe. Translated down 4 units. Okay. So let's draw a quick picture. Where are we going to start? Drop down 4 units from the origin. There's your starting point. Okay. What's my A value? A is 1. So that means that 3A is 3. Should be pretty easy. Graph it. Should get a picture that looks like that. You've got your 4 questions. Please answer the one that I've assigned your group. Find the one I've assigned your group. Now I know you'll have to catch up by watching the video. Well, yeah, just kind of soak it up as much as you can, and when you go back and watch the video, it'll make more sense. Go fill in your notes. Well, it should. I mean, since we kind of walk through it step by step. Okay, what's my vertex? Pi first group, what's my vertex? 0, -4 is correct. Nicely done. Do we have a max or a min? We have a minimum. What is that minimum y value? -4. Excellent. And what x value is it occurring at? Thank you. right? You're copying, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you, that this is your minimum and it's occurring at that x value. All right, how about that axis of symmetry?
0.
Okay, don't quote me a number, quote me the vertical line. Thank you. I get grumpy about that kind of stuff. People just throw numbers wherever they feel like it. Okay, how about the increasing part of the graph? Increasing part of the graph. Come on, group, increasing.
Is it -4 times?
Okay, now, that is a good point you just brought up, Mr. Moore. Okay? I get a lot of people that think that when I say the word increasing, they should start out with -4. And I know immediately what they have done. They have switched in their mind from x values to y values. So you are at the right place. You're just thinking about the y's, and you should be thinking about x's. Remember, we talked about splitting the domain. So what should I be saying instead of -4?
+4.
0. 0 is the x value. And then where do we go? Infinity, right? 0 to infinity is the increasing part of the graph. 0 to infinity. What about the decreasing part of the graph, where we're coming down? Ah, -infinity to what? Yes, yes, yes. Good job. -infinity to 0. Now, if you've noticed on the increasing and decreasing question, if you've noticed there's been 2, 1 on each side, right? Because we haven't done any of these polynomials, which we'll get to later in the year, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down. Well, then we'll have a lot more increasing and decreasing intervals. But right now, that's it. Okay. Question 4. Is this right 6 or left 6? That's to the right. Is this up 26 or down 26? That's down. I want to just draw a quick sketch of this. Doesn't have to be beautiful, just to kind of give me the idea. We're going 6 to the right and 26 down. We know we're starting right about there. Does this thing open up or down? I hope it opens up, because my graph it would look bad. Does it open up or down? According to this, it opens down, right? So, yeah, just, it's opening down. I didn't do the 1A, 3A thing because I'm just getting a basic sketch. Can you tell me the coordinates of the vertex? There you go, 6, -26. If you know it went right 6 and down 26, that has to be it. How about that axis of symmetry? The line that cuts it in half. X equals 6. Yeah, you're just copying that number down, right? Because it's the same. Do we have a maximum or a minimum? We have a maximum. What is that maximum? -26. The maximum, remember, is a y value. Okay, folks. What is the domain? What is the domain? We've talked about this before. This graph is getting wider and wider and wider forever and ever and ever. And if we push all these points onto the x-axis for a long time, how much of the x-axis are you going to be covering? All of it? Now, how do we say that based on the answer choices that I've been given? All real numbers. It has come to my attention from first and third period that you are not familiar with the all real number sign. Okay? Now, I'm scared to get a tattoo. I don't think I'll ever do it. But if I do, that's it right there. Right here. And you'll only see it when the sun's out. Thank you very much. Now,
You know, you understand that I keep it all real. That's exactly what I'm going for here.
That is also the same sign that gets flashed in the sky on the clouds in the city of Fort Wayne when they need me. The all real number sign. Okay, folks, you are correct. It's all real numbers. Now, what's the range of the function? So go back here and look at it. You said that there was a maximum of negative 26. Maximum of negative 26. So what does that mean? It does mean that D has to be the correct one because we have to be less than or equal to some number. What is it? Yep. I'm not going to get through this whole question, but I do want to know whether you think this is left 4 or right 4. That's left. Do you think it's up or down 1? That's up. Do you think that this opens up or opens down?
Open down.
It opens down. Good. What's the vertex of the graph? Negative 4, 1. So we should be starting right there. If we've got an A value of negative 2, what is 3 times that amount? Negative 6. So we can at least get the graph done. And then I'm going to come around and check your notes. Please do not close anything up until I've checked your notes. So we go over 1 and down 2. Over 1. Yeah, don't put them away. Down 2, 4, 6. Okay, down 2 and down 6. And then we have our points on the other side. And we will continue our discussion on this question. I can't say mañana. What is it? No, what's next week? Come on, Spanish people. What's next week? What do you say? How do you say?
Monday is blue days.
No. How do you say next week?
I don't know.
That's end of the week.
Okay, I'm lost. I need to learn. Okay, let me come around and check your notes.